So in the last video, I kind of suggested that it was possible to create magnificent works of art all in MS Paint. So to back that claim up, today we're going to be making Van Gogh's Starry Night right here in Microsoft Paint. Wow, and look at that. In just seconds, we have made a near perfect rendition of this beautiful piece of art. I would call that concrete evidence that Microsoft Paint is the perfect art program, and if you think otherwise, then you're just a bad person and I don't like you. This intro got kind of weird, I'm sorry. So here we are, staring at our wonderful blank canvas, and the first thing actually that I noticed that was going wrong last time, when I was making the thumbnail, actually I noticed this, is that sometimes what would happen, it's a little bit, I don't want to try to show it, like actually in the thing, because I think, like, it's kind of iffy, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but to give you kind of a brief overview, what would often happen is I would be painting and I would end up with just like one little gap here, and try as I might to point my cursor at it, sometimes it just wouldn't work, and I think that's because actually, if you recall, we have actually sort of armor stands pointing or teleporting between points to create this nice continuous line. And I think as a result of that, sometimes like the armor stands we get killed immediately before they had the chance to actually set the block beneath them. I don't even know what the problem was exactly, but I think the fix should be just as simple as forcing the ray casting entity to change the block beneath it. Alright, that's exactly what I've done. Wow, actually, you know, it feels different. I said that it wasn't that noticeable, but actually it's noticeable if you've used this as much as I have. I don't think you guys would be able to notice the difference, but I can tell you, like, just filling in the little areas like that, a lot easier. So that's good that that's working. The next thing that I want to do to make filling large areas in easier is to make a larger brush. And the way I thought I would do that is actually with the clone masked command. By the way, ignore all the armor stands for right now. They're part of this. I just threw them all in here, but I haven't really done anything with them yet. But so anyway, what clone masked does is it will clone only the blocks that aren't air, and it'll leave the air behind. So what that means is we can clone this whole 5x5 area onto the map here, and rather than like filling in a bunch of air around the block that it's doing, it'll only clone the block onto the map so we can leave the white canvas behind. The result of that is that we can make a variety of different shapes within this area, and all of them will be cloned easily onto the map. As an example, here we could have the largest size brush. So the whole 5x5 area is filled in, and if we go and paint onto the map, in case it isn't obvious, I just went ahead and did what I said I was going to do, and as you can see, it's painting in a nice 5x5 area. That was actually a pretty easy thing to do. Like I said, all we're doing, it's just cloning a wider area, and it's cloning masked, so it's leaving behind the air. Now, I think we can finally move on to the role of the armor stands here, which I'm sure you guys have all been wondering about. Basically, I think the armor stands will be a good way to easily change the size of the brush. So basically what it is all of the ones on the outside are tagged with one tag, and all the ones on the inside are tagged with a different tag. And so we can use the differently tagged armor stands to change which rings of this area we want to be on or off. So as an example, if we want just the 1x1 area, we can tell all of the armor stands to set the block around them to air. If we want just the inner ring, we can tell the outside guys to set their block to air, and the inside ones to clone their block from this middle block. And if we want the whole 5x5 area, then we can tell all of these armor stands to clone their block from this block. Unfortunately, I think that means another inventory-based selection system, which I've kind of done a mock-up of here, similar to the one we have for color. So you can click on any of these to change the size from 1, 2, or 3, I guess. I hated doing this last time, but that was mostly because I ran into a bunch of glitches and because I had a ton of things to do. Now instead of like 16 things to do, I only have 3. And also, we kind of know about the glitch, so at least it won't be unexpected. Okay, that actually ended up being a lot more of a pain than I had anticipated. I don't know why exactly. I hadn't set anything up like this in quite some time, but now it seems to be working. Basically, it's a combination of what I said before about changing the different rings and this old system we had. So as an example, if we were to select this black concrete, you can see the black concrete went away, came back here, and the rings got set up perfectly, and the same works for 2 and 1. The problem I anticipate having with this system, in fact the problem that I know will exist with this system, is the fact that if we change the color while the brush is full, it won't change any of the outer rings. Alright, I'm pretty sure that's actually a relatively simple fix, but we'll see if I'm right about that or not. All I'm doing is I'm taking each of these armor stands, right, and I'm checking, first of all, is the block air? Because if so, then I don't want to clone. And second of all, does the block already match the middle block? Because if it does, there's no reason to clone, and I think cloning continuously would make it kind of laggy. Probably not too laggy, but whatever. And if none of those things are true, then it'll clone. That's clearly not working. Oh, wow. I'm an idiot. The problem was something quite simple. I had set it to @A, which is the player target selector, instead of @E, which is the target selector for all entities, not just players. If I make it @E, yeah, the middle ring has done it. The outer ring, not so much, but that's just because we have a separate command for them because they have a separate tag. And if we do them, then that's working beautifully. And just real quick, yep, wonderful, wow. Things are going surprisingly, like, according to plan. Minus this lag. This lag is getting on my nerves. But, you know, whatever. We can change the size super easily. We can change the color super easily. We can clear it all out super easily. The one thing we can't do is create a blob. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, here, I made this beautiful shape, right? How on earth do I fill in this beautiful blob? Well, answer 1, which is a bad answer, is I go like, hey, look at me, I'm slowly filling it in. Actually, this isn't so bad, but I'm sure once I get to the edges, it'll be way worse. Option 2 is we make a fill tool. So the good news is I actually made just a more complicated fill tool, as in a fill tool that was 3D instead of 2D, just the other day. So I kind of know more or less exactly what one has to do to create a fill tool. And what you have to do is, so we take the starting point, right? And you summon an entity there. And then this entity checks in all directions to see if the block next to it matches the black block that it's on top of. And if it does, then it summons an entity there. So it would do that in all directions, and then it takes the block at itself and sets it to the new block, whatever that may be, say black concrete, right? And then each of these entities do the same thing, just checking in every direction and setting the block themselves. And they do that until they encounter some kind of wall of a different color, at which point the entity there would say, you know, it would summon here and it would summon here, but it would check here and say, oh, this block doesn't match, it's not white concrete. And so then it wouldn't summon there and it would just die. And so we would fill in right up to the edge but not past the edge. Alright, step 1, we have a separate type of ray casting thingamy. It just uses the same ray casting, but it's summoning an armor stand. That's all it is. It's not interesting. I don't know why I'm actually telling you guys about this. Whatever. Alright, amazing. Step number 2. We clone the block where the armor stand lands right here. Wow. I really don't know why I'm showing you that. That does even less than the last thing I showed you. That was literally one command, but you know, I gotta get content somewhere, so I'm just gonna tell you guys about every single command I make. Alright. here goes nothing. We're just gonna try to clone, or rather fill. We're gonna try to go ahead and fill the entire map. Wowie. That's what you call not right. See, this right there? That's progress. Now it's just making a nice little splotch. I think part 2 of the problem has to do with that right there. The fact that the block has changed to red. Which I think is because the initial armor stand is cloning to that point multiple times. Which we can fix with one little bit. In case anyone has seen the other video where I make the 3D version of this, I'm using the exact same tags as last time. So if you watched the last one, you should know more or less what I'm doing. Hey, there we go. Now that's absolutely beautiful. A little bit slow, but definitely functional. And as it fills in these last little bits, wow, look at that. Entirely red. I may have discovered a bit of a problem. Not sure what happened, but something about what we were doing completely destroyed the earlier section with the armor stands teleporting forward. We have a bit of a problem. In the last MS Paint video, I very briefly showed some text. Right after I said that I didn't know how this worked, I briefly showed some text that said that it is not a good idea to not know how something works, and you should always know how whatever you're doing works. And this right here is why. I have literally no idea. Not literally no idea. I have some idea about how the teleporting armor stands works, but not enough of an idea to be able to meaningfully change it or fix the problem that we're experiencing right now. So all I can really do is just like turn everything off until we find the problem. Ooh, I may have found the problem. Let me test real quick before I get too excited. Yeah, okay. The problem was something really dumb. You know what it was? It was that way back here, I check if the block is white concrete. And the purpose of that is I don't want the ray casting entities summoning the armor stands while they're still in midair. However, I should have checked not if the block is white concrete, but rather if the block was air. Because the reason it wasn't working was because there was no white concrete. And so it tried to summon it, but it didn't find white concrete, it found like red concrete. And as a result, it couldn't summon the entity. But now, say we fill it all in with brown. Oh, I turned it all off, hold on. There we go. Fill that in. Alright, anyway, let's try making a green blob, or technically a lime blob, excuse me. So we make a nice little enclosed shape like that, and then we plop down a nope. Alright, take 2, this time with actual green, because why not? Yeah, wow, it's just cutting right through those lines. What the heck, man? Oh, I might know the problem. Here, wait, we'll know immediately if this is working, if it's, rather than doing it in some weird sliver, if it's actually doing it in like a normal square. Yeah. Okay, for some reason, I just put in weird coordinates for the direction in which to summon things, which I think meant that I could cut across some of the diagonal lines, which there are a lot of. But now, maybe... Hey, look at that. Perfectly filled in. Yeah, wow. What can I say, man? It works. And it also makes it easier to erase things. I think that was like a little separate bit. Well, if you're still around, thank you so much for watching. That's really gonna be all for today. But, it was a pleasure making this video for you guys. If you enjoyed it, let me know. Like, subscribe, you know, dislike if you didn't like it, whatever, man. Anyway, I'll see you guys all soon. Bye.